Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. Welcome to a new episode of today's Best Stock Picks. It is Monday morning, February 22nd, 2021, and there's a lot on the table right now. But first, I think the biggest thing we want to talk about is about a week ago, maybe even as early as next Tuesday, I started to call the short-term top in the market. I'm not ready to call a big crackdown. However, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, and especially if you're in the boot camp with me, you know, over the last week or so, I kept saying there's cracks. I'm seeing cracks. And everybody's asking me how. What are you seeing that nobody else is seeing? Because we're getting some of these stocks that are spiking higher and having these historic moves, really. Some of them are going up 100% in a couple of days. But, and this is the big point that I want to get across. We get this question asked all the time about what kind of stocks we trade. And I want to make this very clear. In the history of Wall Street, the top traders, the top active traders, not Warren Buffett and value investing and that kind of thing, the top traders like myself, somebody who is in the business for a long time, we're trading leading stocks in leading sectors. We're not trading penny stocks. We're looking for clues from the overall market. And something that we discussed last week with our community, which was a kind of an advanced thing. Maybe I'll do a separate video, but it's actually having a much bigger list of stocks so that you can kind of see what's going on under the hood. Some stuff that you really can't see just by looking at, let's say, the Dow Jones or looking at the S&P. You're really kind of getting deeper into what's kind of going on. So it's kind of like pulling the hood up on your car and be like, oh, look, that's disconnected. We're probably going to stall in a couple of days. And that's pretty much what's happening. So I'm going to show you how I did that and how that's going to lead into some of the stocks that we're going to be looking at today and specifically this week. Today's focus is going to be on energy stocks. We have a list, probably around a dozen stocks on top of that. But if you could just do me a favor, if you find these videos helpful, definitely click down and subscribe. This way you get new videos like this. You get new stock picks to buy each day, as well as you get education. We've been putting out some foundational courses, especially if you're a new trader to the market. So we're going to head on over, and I'm going to actually start out with how to know what's going to happen, because you start to see clues. And that's really a big thing that we do. We start to build arguments for good ideas, and you start to form a picture. Here's the big thing, though. Here's probably the best way to word what I want to get across there is when you're trading and you start to notice these things, because this is a difference. There's a difference between being a chart reader and just spotting things and being a trader who puts the pieces together, and how those things translate into actual trades, how they translate into making money. That's really what we do. We're not looking to be the best chart reader on the planet. We want to be a trader who sees their account grow every single month. So I'm going to show you right now how that factors into what we do. But first, if you'd like to trade with me in real time, you can actually get all of my updates. You can see my cat. You can get all of our updates sent directly to your phone. You get the entries, the profit targets, and exactly how I'm managing the trade. So click down below in the link below the description, and you'll see a link there for you to push through and at least see what's in the boot camp. It's only 30 days. It's not a subscription. You can almost say it's a 30-day seminar. So what I'm going to talk about right now, first I'm going to go over to the screen, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what we started to see, but just as importantly, how that affected how I was trading. I can't stress the difference between the two. If you're struggling right now, if you're not feeling massive conviction in what you want to do, it just means that you need to learn how to put those pieces together. And it's position sizing, it's trading activity, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to share the screen right now. We're going to go over to take a look at hang on one second. We're going to take a look here at the list that I put out to the community every single week. Actually, let me go over here. This is probably the best way to do it. There you go. That's what we're looking for. So what we do every single week, I provide a list to the community of, and you can see here within February, obviously February is just about ending, from week to week. And this is last week's list. You can see we're watching which sectors, we're watching the leaders, we're watching to see performance from week, month, and a quarter. And I'm literally giving everybody the list of clues, and we start to put those clues together. However, the biggest thing that we pay attention to is sector rotation. and how strong or how weak the sector is. And this is really where it comes into the difference between being a chart reader and being a trader who actually gets paid. There's a lot of people spewing stocks. There's not a lot of people telling you that here's how I'm managing my positions. That's a big difference, a really big difference, because when you start to have conversations about how you're managing positions, how I'm personally managing positions, now we're getting into whether or not you should be trading bigger, holding longer, or taking profits quicker into momentum, or being in cash. And I'm going to explain why that last part, being in cash, really matters. So you can see here, just from what you can see, starting at the end of January into February. So this would be the first week of February. This is the preceding week's trading. The markets were pretty weak and overall sectors. And here's another thing. You need to start to say, well, I didn't make money this week. Maybe I need to reinvent what I'm doing. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. You need to put the context of the market into your trading. So again, I want to challenge you. If you are struggling or have been struggling, or you say, this week was really easy, this week was tough, don't keep jumping off the boat every time you have a tough week. You can see that sometimes it's the market and you're doing everything right. And if you don't understand how to do this yet, there's just a little bit more knowledge that you need to get to the other side so you have control, so you feel secure in everything that you're doing. Then you roll into another week where everything lights up. And then it's just a question of which ones you're looking to be a buyer of, and you hold those trades a little bit longer. So in those kind of weeks, you start to make more to compensate for the small losses. But here's the interesting thing. 2 weeks ago, we actually started to see the market cracking a little bit. We went from green across the board to less by a dramatic number, leading, which again was energy. We're going to keep talking about energy. We're going to show you why in a second. And again, this is getting into what we do every day in the boot camp, the sector rotation, being on top of the right stocks, the leading stocks in the right sectors, right? Started to crack a little bit, and now here's last week. So if you'll know, within the last 2 weeks, especially going back to last Tuesday when we came back from the 3-day weekend, I was all over this. This is not second guessing. This is talking about what's actually going on in the market and literally being a better trader in the sense that you fully understand what's going on and how that plays into which stocks you should be watching and how you should be managing that. So again, in our boot camp, a lot of the activity that we've been putting out there has been pulled back dramatically. We've been exiting into momentum. We've been trading less share size. We've been lowering position sizing from a certain percentage down a little bit for the most part because the market was turning. So it's not shocking to the members of the boot camp right now that we're rolling over. Stephen Power, one of our members last week, he said, it sounds like you're looking for the market to roll over. And that was while we were near all-time highs. And I said, yeah, absolutely. The clues are there. So it translated into lowering our share size, lowering our overnight exposure. And now we're just kind of sitting in cash in a little bit better position. So as the market pulls back like we're doing right now, once we bottom out, we're going to be in a much better position. We're not digging ourselves out of a hole. Because remember this, it's not hard to make money when it's obvious. The skill to see your account grow every single month is managing the downside when it's a little bit tougher. Managing the downside when you have good trades that don't follow through. And then the last part is managing the upside when everything is following through. So you can't make 1,000 when there's 5,000 on the table, but you need to understand the difference between the two. And that's tape reading. That's what it means to build that argument. And that's really what we specialize in. I just gave you a little piece there to show you, maybe give you some ideas. So how does that translate into trades, right? How does that actually translate into ideas? Well, the first thing that everybody's focusing on right now is bond yields. It's been the biggest talk right now. And I'm going to zoom down here into yield curves. Okay. This is what everyone is talking about right now. How does that translate into new trading ideas? Well, very, very simple, right? Essentially what we're looking at right now is we're going to start to pay attention, as you saw in the sector rotation spreadsheet. We've started to have energy stocks get in the right order, and now they're reaching some of these breakout levels. So what we're going to start out with right now is talking about some energy stocks that I'm going to be watching, and we're going to rattle down the list. We're going to talk about CVX. We're going to talk about CPE. And I'll put this list down in the description. HFC. You can start to see a clue here. As the market's pulling back, these stocks are advancing, leading stocks in leading sectors. I'm going to throw these out there to give you some ideas. VLO. You're starting to see a pattern here. While the market's pulling back, these stocks are rallying. MPC. FANG, which by the way, FANG actually has earnings today. It's traded into one of my favorite patterns. It has earnings out there today. COP, XOM, I want to go slow so you can make sure you write them down. And of course, CVX, which is the one that we just started out with. So just to give you some ideas of being in the right stocks at the right time, we're starting to focus on energy stocks for the last 2 weeks. And now a lot of them are sitting on the precipice of breakouts. Some other stocks that we're watching right now, Trip Advisor, traded into what we call a fuel candlestick. We're starting to see some signs of smart money activity in Trip, as well as Kohl's. There was a big story in Kohl's over the weekend about a large group of investors buying up to 10% in Kohl's. So that's actually a pretty interesting trade here as well. Getting along with themes and sticking with themes is the get out of the house stocks. Last week we mentioned cruise lines and airlines. Today we're going to go a little bit differently, and casinos. Casinos actually forecasting the market, forecasting as a discounting mechanism is the stock market, and casinos now, Wynn and LVS actually starting to break out. And one thing we want to talk about is kind of on the opposite side of that, which is electric vehicle stocks that are starting to take a hit. We mentioned last week Tesla, right? Tesla is now kind of stuck in that phantom zone between the 20 and the 50 period moving average. NEO, same thing. NEO, the same thing, and XPEV, same thing, actually in bearish territory. So I guess what I want to talk about here is it's such an important thing to understand that you do not trade the same way every day or every week. And if you really want to elevate your trading, and here's really the strongest word that I can use. Of course, everything we're doing right now is for educational purposes. You have to make your own decisions. But here's the important thing. If you believe every day is the same, if you believe that you should trade every trade with the same share size, the same conviction, that means you don't have an edge. That means that you're really not at that level yet where you're going to be in control. No matter what happens in the market, you're trading bigger when it's obvious and you're scaling back. Now, that might sound like, or you're listening to this right now and you're like, why don't we just talk more about trading stocks? Why don't we talk more just about those stock picks? I gave you the stock picks, but we have to put the stock picks within context of how to trade them. We just looked at two different rotations. There was electric vehicle stocks, including Tesla, that were strong and on fire for a couple of months. And now they're in the doghouse. Now we're switching over to trade the leading stocks in the leading sectors. We're going to get growth in our account that way. So don't move past the stuff that we talk about where it's share sizing, position sizing, risk reward. What type of risk reward? Should you exit into momentum? Should you be looking to build a position? Should you not even be trading certain stocks, or should you be in cash? I'm telling you straight up, that's where the magic happens in trading. If you know everything about trading, but you can't get paid, these little things about building the argument, that's where the money's hiding. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you find these videos helpful, please click down and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and you'll get updates. And if you want to trade with me every day, get my entries, my exits, and my profit targets, click down in the description and learn about the bootcamp too. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today.